We are here in the tech studio looking to talk today about Callaway's X Forged UT utility iron. It's a beautiful new product, similar to the X Forged CB irons that we've talked about. You'll find a video there on THP TV as well. And it's similar in that there's actually a MIMD tungsten profile in the product. We'll show you some images of that. And a big part of that is all about measuring CG into the proper locations and proper swing weighting. Another big story here from a utility perspective is that they actually have the AI flash face cup built into the face as well. And this is all about performance here. They have obviously taken technology to another perspective and another echelon, if you will, to promote unbelievable ball speed in the right places at the right times using an exceptional amount of computing process. We also have a nice pairing here today with hazardous smoke shaft in the 80 gram and a very nice Z-grip from Golf Pride at the top. Now there are custom options, obviously. This is a nice offering from a stock perspective. We're gonna go ahead and hit the bay, hit a few shots for you and talk through them. And welcome to the bay. We'll hit a few shots, talk through them as we go. Again, we're working with Callaway's X Forged Utility iron, which is a beautiful presentation behind the ball. Let's see how it hits. Now that's great contact for me. A little bit heavier than I'm used to, but very, very flush from a feedback standpoint and probably a little bit of an open face. Well over that 230 yard distance mark. This is a 21 degree. For me, that's a great number. I definitely don't expect much more than that out of a degree of this, this number itself. So 245 yards total. Peak height is at 38, which is great for me. I'm definitely looking to be in that 35 to 40 yards of peak with a utility. My goal here is to use this on par fours mostly off the tee to get just good straight boring distance. Let's set another one. Again, a little bit heavy, but this is tighter on that line than we had originally, which nice representation of combination of consistency. My swing isn't that far off what we've seen in the past, or we saw in the last one. Maybe a little bit more connected. And we're seeing once again over 240 yards of total carry with peak height at that 34 yards. I'm really liking that. Speed 143.6 mile an hour. I kind of love that number. That's fantastic from a utility. Let's try and get one rolling over a little bit more. Stop chasing that right side. I think consistency here is key. We have three similar shots. This one will more than likely be the shortest of the three, a little bit low on the face, and probably a little bit higher overall. As it shuffles through into the actual data that we can take a look at, we were seeing so there you go, the peak height's higher at 41, spins up as well. Interestingly enough, the speed across the face, and this is very telling of their AI face cup. This is very, very interesting that it would be that high off a shot that I actually wasn't particularly impressed with myself. And that's well hit for me. We're probably coming back to the center a little bit, which is great. That is really, really squared up. As you can see, we are at one of our longest distances here in total, 256 total yards. This felt flush for me. This felt like it was a lot closer to the center of the face. So I think the performance aspect from a spin and overall carry, spins at 3,500, carry 241 yards. The ball speed is fascinating for me at 148.8 miles per hour. That is wild from a utility. For the last shot here, I thought it'd be interesting to put this on a tee. As I mentioned, most commonly for me, I will tee up a hybrid. Sorry, not a hybrid, a utility, as I do hit it off the tee a lot. So let's see what we can do with it on the tee. And that's gonna look similar to the last shot, as I feel like I hit it very well. Might get a little bit of extra distance overall, and actually did not. Could see a bit of a spin bump there, which might be the biggest change we'll see. In this case, I think we are just under 4,000 RPMs. So maybe I attacked it a little bit harder than I did for the last one. I do want to hit a 6 shot here just to have 2 off the tee. And we also saw that as we elevated the ball on a tee, we did get a bit more height, which I think is pretty much what you can expect from a utility itself. So let's get one more going. And a little bit more of a pull, shut the face down. But this is a nice representation of what you can accomplish when you tee this up. It's going to be attacking the ground a little bit harder because my flight is a bit higher. And that's a nice telling feature of a utility, is that you can work flight a little bit more aggressively than you would off an iron. Or sorry, a hybrid. Yep, peak height of 45 as we expected, spins up a little bit. And again, I really want to focus on the ball speed here. 152 miles per hour is kind of massive for me. We'll take a minute and go look at the data in table view. So we have our table view of the 6 shots I took with Callaway's X Forged Utility iron. What the table doesn't talk about is the quality of feedback that I get. This is a hollow body product, but it does feel quite full. And by that I mean, it doesn't feel like a hollow body in total. This is something I'm always looking for because sound is such a big deal for my game. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised when you go and hit this and experience that for yourself. Looking into probably the first 3 shots that all kind of hung out to the right, I was not particularly impressed with my effort on those. I definitely left the face open, as you can see from the overall shape that it promoted. What was fascinating to me was the cup face or the face cup in action, and that was, we're looking at ball speeds of over 140 mile an hour, in some cases almost 145 mile an hour, with less than ideal strikes. Whether this is purely technology driven, whether it's just happens to be the number that comes out, is hard to say, but I think I was pleasantly surprised by a combination of the overall results and the distance, with the exception of the 3rd shot, which was easily my worst of the bunch. And moving on to my 4th shot, this is where things get very interesting because I didn't leave the face open at all. I actually squared it up nicely, came a little on the inside on the overall shape, but left it to the left side of the pin. This is where the performance really started to jump. 148.8 mile an hour ball speed is massive for me off a utility. And you see that with a combination of the overall carry totals between the peak height of 38 degrees and the 241 yards of total carry. Now, when I'm looking at T-ball, an option off the tee, I definitely want something that does this, stays under 40 of peak, which allows for some of that rollout to get significant distance in a more controlled product like a utility iron. Where it does get interesting is in the last 2 shots. These are the ones I had on the tee. 2 different tee heights. The first one was a little bit higher, and I felt like I got up on the face a bit on that one. Still managed to accomplish an incredible 240 yards of carry off a 21 degree utility. And then the second one was by far my best ball speed at 152 mile an hour. I'm somewhat astounded by that number, again off a utility. I'm only about 10 difference off that in my driver, so that's a pretty big story for me there. We'll take one quick look at the dispersion table. You can see my 3 shots that went out to the right, and then the significant performance benefits the last 3 that hung onto the zone with a more squared face. I am very impressed with this product, and I think you all look forward to going out and hitting it for yourself and providing us some feedback on the THP community.